Dad-perfect events. The rain was hammering my cabin windows like bullets when I heard the car engine. Howard Miller, 59 years old, and I'd been sitting in the same worn leather chair for 4 damn years, staring at the same stack of police files. My son Marcus case. Closed, dead end. That's what they called it. But somebody was driving up my logging road at 11 p.m. in weather that would make a sane person stay home. I set down my whiskey glass and squinted through the rain-streaked window. Mercedes sedan, black, expensive. Nobody I knew drove cars like that. The engine shut off and I watched a tall figure sprint through the downpour to my porch. The knock came hard and urgent. 3 sharp raps that made my chest tighten. After 4 years of living like a hermit on Vancouver Island, visitors meant one thing: bad news. I opened the door and there stood Stanley Cooper, my brother. The brother I'd told never to contact me again 15 years ago when he screwed me out of Dad's construction business. He was soaked through, his gray hair plastered to his skull, but those eyes were the same, sharp, always scheming. Howard, he said, like Wed talked yesterday, instead of spending 15 years in silence. You've got some nerve showing up here? I was already moving to slam the door, but his hand shot out and stopped it. Get in the car, Howard. I know where Marcus is. The world tilted. 4 years of grief, 4 years of dead-end investigations, 4 years of watching my daughter-in-law, Jessica, collect that $2 million life insurance payout while she kept my granddaughter Dorothy away from me. And now Stanley, the brother who'd stolen from me, was standing on my porch claiming my dead son was alive. You better explain yourself real quick before I throw you off my property. Stanley glanced back at the Mercedes, water streaming off his expensive coat. Marcus isn't dead, Howard. Your daughter-in-law and that developer Victor Kane have been keeping him drugged up in some private facility. They've been embezzling from his software company for years. Marcus found out, so they made him disappear. I gripped the door frame, Jessica. Sweet little Jessica Hod married Marcus 5 years ago and given me my granddaughter. Jessica Hod cried at the memorial service and talked about how much Marcus loved Dorothy. Jessica Hod moved on awful quick with that slick real estate developer Victor Kane. Prove it, I said. Stanley pulled out his phone and showed me a photograph. A man in a wheelchair staring blankly at a TV in what looked like a hospital common room, thinner than I remembered, with a beard and longer hair, but I'd know that face anywhere. My son, alive. Where is this private care facility outside Kelowna? His listed as David Patterson, admitted 4 years ago after a supposed hiking accident, no family, no visitors. Bills paid by a trust that traces back to Victor Kane's development company. I couldn't breathe. All this time, all the guilt about not being there for the skiing trip, all the nights wondering if I could have done something different, and Marcus had been alive. Locked away, a prisoner. What did they do to him? Heavy sedatives, antipsychotics, enough to keep him confused and docile. The staff thinks has a brain injury patient. They're not in on it, but someone's been managing his medication to make sure he never gets lucid enough to remember who he is or ask the right questions. I grabbed my coat from the hook by the door. Let's go. Stanley held up his hand. Howard, wait, there's more. I've been working as a private investigator for the past 8 years, and I've been building a case against Jessica and Foster for 6 months. I've got bank records, offshore accounts, communications. This isn't just about getting Marcus out. This is about destroying them the right way. As we drove through the storm toward Kelowna, Stanley laid it all out. After his business went under 15 years ago, head hit rock bottom. Lost his house, his marriage, his self-respect. Started doing private investigation work to pay the bills and discovered he was good at finding things people wanted to stay hidden. 2 years ago, Head seen Jessica on the news at some charity gala. She was all dressed up with Foster, giving a speech about coping with loss while wearing jewelry that cost more than most people's cars. Something about it didn't sit right. I remembered Foster from the old days, Stanley said, taking the curves faster than was safe on the wet road. When I still had the construction business, I bid on one of his projects. Never got it, but I remembered him. He was dirty even then. Kickbacks, bribes, the whole playbook. So Stanley started digging. Jessica had been Marcus' CFO before they married. She had access to all the company accounts. Foster had been wooing her for months before Marcus' disappearance, feeding her information about offshore banking and shell corporations. Look at this. Stanley handed me a manila envelope thick with documents, bank statements from the Cayman Islands, wire transfers from Marcus' company to shell corporations in Panama, email chains between Jessica and Foster going back 3 years. They'd been bleeding Marcus' company dry, transferring money to accounts Jessica controlled. When Marcus started noticing irregularities in the quarterly reports, they knew they were in trouble. The email from Marcus to Jessica, dated 2 days before his disappearance, was damning. Audit discrepancies urgent. Need explanation for Panama transfers by Friday or bringing in federal investigators. They tried to kill him at first, Stanley continued, but killing someone in the mountains and making it look like an accident is harder than it sounds. Too many variables, so they did something smarter. They made him disappear and convinced everyone he was dead while keeping him alive but useless. I studied the bank records by the dim interior light. The numbers were staggering. Over $800,000 moved through shell companies over 2 years. Jessica's signature on transfer authorizations. Foster's company receiving consulting fees that never made sense for a software business. How'd you get all this? I've got contacts from my PI work, people who specialize in financial investigations. Plus, I learned a few things about computer forensics. Jessica wasn't as careful as she thought. By the time we reached the facility, Stanley had walked me through every detail of the evidence Head gathered. This wasn't just a rescue mission. This was a coordinated operation to take down a criminal conspiracy that had stolen 4 years of my son's life and nearly $1 million from his company. The facility looked innocent enough from the outside. Modern building, well-maintained grounds, the kind of place where wealthy families put relatives they didn't want to deal with. Stanley parked in the visitor lot and killed the engine. Remember, we're here to see David Patterson. You're his long-lost uncle. We're emotional about finally finding him through one of those DNA ancestry websites. We're helpful, cooperative, not threats. The young woman at the reception desk bought Stanley's story completely. Had done this before, I realized. The forged documents from the trust administrator looked legitimate. She led us down a hallway that smelled like industrial cleaner and cafeteria food. Mr. Patterson is usually in the common room this time of evening, she said. He enjoys the nature programs, very peaceful. And there he was in a wheelchair by the window overlooking the dark lake. Marcus, my son, wearing sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, his hands motionless in his lap, staring at some nature documentary but seeing nothing. I approached slowly, my police training kicking in. Don't spook the subject. Keep everything calm and controlled. 35 years as a cop teaches you how to read people, how to approach someone who might be fragile. David, I said, pulling up a chair next to his wheelchair. My name is Howard. This is Stanley. We're your family. We've been looking for you for a long time. Marcus' eyes drifted from the television to my face. Slow, like moving underwater. There was no recognition there, just chemical fog. But when I took his hand in mine, something flickered. A ghost of the boy who used to fish with me off my dock. Dad? He whispered. So quiet, I almost missed it. Then his face twisted in confusion. No, I don't. They said I don't have family. They said I'm alone. They lied, son. They've been lying to you for 4 years. That's when Dr. Carl Reed showed up. Mid-40s, expensive haircut, white coat, and the kind of smile that sets off every cop instinct he'd ever developed. He strode across the common room like he owned the place, which he probably did. Dr. Reed, David's attending physician. I wasn't informed we had visitors this evening. Stanley stood to face him, all professional courtesy. We have authorization from the trust administrator. The receptionist verified our credentials. Did she? Reed's eyes flicked between us, calculating, and you are. Stanley Cooper, David's nephew. This is Howard, his uncle. We've been searching for David for years through genealogy databases. Reed's face went pale, then red. I saw it then, the moment he realized the game was up. His hand moved toward his pocket, toward his phone. I was faster. 35 years as a cop teaches you a few things about reading people and reacting to threats. I grabbed Reed's wrist, twisted it behind his back in one smooth motion that my old training sergeant would have been proud of. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Doc, I said quietly. See, I've already contacted Detective Nancy Thompson with the RCMP Major Crimes Unit. She's on her way here right now with a warrant for your arrest. You've got maybe 10 minutes before this place is crawling with cops. Reed tried to pull away. This is assault. You can't actually, I can. Section 494 of the Criminal Code allows citizens arrest for indictable offenses. Kidnapping, fraud, conspiracy. Pick one. I tightened my grip just enough to make my point. Now here is what's going to happen. You're going to walk back to your office, sit down and wait quietly for the authorities. Any attempt to interfere with us or harm David will result in additional charges. Are we clear? Reed nodded jerkily. I released him and he practically ran from the room. The receptionist had noticed the commotion and was heading our way. Confusion written all over her face. Stanley intercepted her with the same smooth professionalism Head used on Reed. There's been a situation with Dr. Reed. The RCMP are investigating irregularities in patient care. We need you to remain calm and ensure none of the residents are disturbed. I was already moving Marcus' wheelchair toward the exit. The kid Hod taught me to fish at 5, Hod graduated summa cum laude from UBC, Hod built a software company from nothing, and given me a beautiful granddaughter, was coming home. Finally, we made it to the parking lot just as the first police cars appeared on the horizon, red and blue lights cutting through the rain. Detective Thompson was as good as Stanley's word. Within minutes, the facility was surrounded and Reed was in custody. Thompson, a sharp-eyed woman about my age, took our statements while paramedics examined Marcus. We've got arrest warrants for Jessica Walsh and Victor Kane. Vancouver PD is picking them up now. You two bent about 17 different laws tonight, but given the circumstances, I think we can work something out. The paramedics were gentle with Marcus, testing his pupil responses, checking his vital signs, documenting the chemical damage he'd been subjected to. One of them, a young guy who reminded me of Marcus at that age, shook his head as he read Marcus' chart, massive doses of haloperidol, lorazepam, and quetiapine. Enough to keep an elephant sedated. This guy's been in a pharmaceutical coma for years. They loaded Marcus into the ambulance for transport to Kelowna General. I rode with him while Stanley followed in his Mercedes. During the ride, Marcus drifted in and out of awareness, sometimes looking at me with recognition, other times staring blankly at the ambulance ceiling. "Dorothy," he mumbled at one point. "Is Dorothy okay? She was so small when she's 8 years old now, son. She's been living with Jessica, but she's going to come stay with me soon. She's going to be so happy to see you." At the hospital, a neurologist named Dr. Sarah Kim confirmed what we'd suspected. Years of inappropriate medication had left Marcus foggy, but there was no permanent brain damage. The drugs had been carefully calibrated to keep him docile without killing him. With time and proper care, he should recover completely, Dr. Kim explained. The human brain is remarkably resilient. We'll start him on a gradual detox protocol and monitor his cognitive function. ID estimate 2 to 3 weeks before the worst of the chemical fog lifts. It was 3 a.m. when they finally let me see him in his private room. He was hooked up to monitors, IV fluids flushing the poison from his system, but his eyes were clearer than they'd been at the facility. "Dad," he said when I walked in, and his voice was stronger. I kept trying to remember Dorothy's face, but everything was so fuzzy. "How is she? She must be huge now." I pulled a chair up beside his bed. "She's 8 years old and beautiful and brilliant. She asks about you all the time. Jessica told her you were dead, but I think deep down she never believed it. How long was I gone? 4 years. But you're safe now. Jessica and Foster can't hurt you anymore." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, staring at the ceiling tiles. "She was my wife, Dad. I loved her. I trusted her with everything. The company, our future, our daughter. And she tried to erase me. I squeezed his hand. "I know, son, but you survived. And now we're going to make sure Dorothy knows her father didn't abandon her." Stanley appeared in the doorway around dawn, looking exhausted but satisfied. Had been coordinating with Detective Thompson and the prosecutor's office. The scope of Jessica and Foster's crimes was bigger than Wed initially realized. "They've been running this scam for 5 years, Stanley said, settling into the other chair. "Jessica wasn't just embezzling from your company, Marcus. She was part of a larger operation. Foster's been using his development projects to launder money for organized crime. Jessica provided the tech infrastructure and financial expertise." How much, Marcus asked? "Total. Close to $3 million across multiple companies and investors. Your company was just one target. The $800,000 they stole from you was small potatoes compared to their other operations. The prosecutor was treating it as a RICO case. Racketeering, money laundering, kidnapping, conspiracy. Jessica and Foster were looking at 25 to life if convicted. Dr. Reed had already cut a deal to testify against them in exchange for a reduced sentence. "What about Dorothy?" Marcus asked. "If Jessica goes to prison, what happens to my daughter?" "She comes to you," I said. "You're her father. And if you need help while you recover, she can stay with me on the island. I've got plenty of room and she loves fishing off my dock." Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus' recovery was remarkable. The fog lifted gradually, his memory returning in pieces. He remembered the day Head discovered the discrepancies in the company books. He remembered confronting Jessica about the transfers. He remembered the look on her face when she realized he knew. She cried. Marcus told me one afternoon, actually cried and begged me not to involve the authorities. Said Shed made a mistake, that Foster had pressured her, that Shed pay everything back. I almost believed her. "What changed your mind?" "I found the second set of books Shed been hiding. This wasn't a mistake. This was systematic theft going back 2 years. I told her I was calling the FBI in the morning." That night, Jessica had drugged his drink during dinner. When he woke up, he was in the facility, drugged and helpless, with no memory of how Head gotten there. Stanley visited every day, bringing updates on the investigation and helping Marcus sort through the legal maze of reclaiming his identity. The two of us had started talking again, really talking. For the first time in 15 years, the anger was still there, but it felt smaller now, less important than family. I should have looked for him sooner, Stanley said one evening as we sat in the hospital cafeteria. When I heard about the skiing accident, something felt off. But I was so wrapped up in my own problems, my own guilt about what happened between us. You found him, I said. That's what matters. You found him and you brought him home. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday morning. Dorothy was in school, Jessica was in jail awaiting trial, and I was sitting with Marcus when his phone rang. He'd gotten it back from the police evidence locker the day before, along with his wallet and the rest of his personal effects. The caller ID said Dorothy's school. Marcus stared at the phone for a long moment before answering. Hello, Mr. Miller. This is Principal Watson at Dorothy's school. I'm calling because Dorothy seems quite upset today. She keeps asking to call her grandfather Howard, and she mentioned something about her father coming home. I wanted to check if everything is all right. Marcus looked at me, tears starting to form in his eyes. This is David Brooks, Dorothy's father. I've been away for 4 years. I'm in the hospital right now, but I'm okay. I'd very much like to speak with my daughter. There was a long pause on the other end. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, but our records show that Dorothy's father is deceased. Mrs. Foster is listed as her guardian, and she specifically instructed us not to allow contact with anyone claiming to be. Jessica Foster is in jail, I interrupted, taking the phone from Marcus. This is Marcus Brooks, Dorothy's grandfather. Jessica and her accomplice Victor Kane have been arrested for kidnapping and fraud. My son Marcus was held against his will for 4 years, but he's alive and recovering. Detective Nancy Thompson with the RCMP can verify everything I'm telling you. Another pause. I'll need to make some calls. Can Dorothy reach you at this number? Yes. And Principal Watson? Dorothy's been through enough. She deserves to know her father is alive. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Dorothy's voice was small and scared. Grandpa Howard, the principal said my daddy might be alive, but Mommy said he died in the mountains. Your mommy lied to you, sweetheart. Your daddy is right here with me. He's been sick, but he's getting better. Do you want to talk to him? Yes, she whispered. I handed the phone to Marcus. He took a deep breath and spoke softly. Hi, sweetheart. It's Daddy. The silence stretched for what felt like forever. Then Dorothy's voice, stronger now. Daddy, is it really you? I knew you weren't dead. I knew it. Mommy said you were, but I knew you'd come back. I'm so sorry, baby girl. I tried to come home. I tried so hard to remember you, but they were giving me medicine that made me forget things. But I never forgot that I loved you. Never. They talked for 20 minutes. Dorothy told him about school, about her friends, about how she'd been staying with me and learning to fish. Marcus told her about the hospital, about how Grandpa Howard and Uncle Stanley had found him, about how much he missed her. Can I see you, Daddy? Very soon, sweetheart. The doctors want to make sure I'm completely healthy first. But Grandpa Howard is going to bring you to visit me tomorrow. Is that okay? More than okay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Dorothy. More than all the stars in the sky. The next day, I brought Dorothy to the hospital. She had been nervous during the drive, chattering nonstop about school and her friends and whether Marcus would remember her favorite color, purple, or the song he used to sing to her at bedtime. When we walked into his room, Marcus was sitting up in bed, looking more like himself than he had since Wed found him. Head shaved off the beard and his eyes were clear and alert. When Dorothy saw him, she froze for a moment, then ran straight into his arms. Daddy, 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 Daddy. I stepped back into the hallway, giving them privacy. Stanley was there, had driven up from Vancouver to be present for the reunion. We stood side by side, watching through the window as Marcus held his daughter, both of them crying, both of them whole again. Hell of a thing, Stanley said quietly. Yeah, hell of a thing. Jessica and Eugene were denied bail. Their trial was set for the following year, but with the evidence Stanley had gathered and Dr. Reed's testimony, the outcome wasn't in doubt. The prosecutor was confident they'd get 20 to 25 years minimum. Marcus moved in with me and Dorothy on Vancouver Island while he recovered and rebuilt his life. The first few weeks were challenging. He'd have nightmares, wake up confused about where he was, convinced for terrifying moments that he was still trapped in that facility. But slowly, gradually, he came back to himself. Started laughing again, started planning for the future. Dorothy adjusted better than any of us expected. The family therapist said children are remarkably resilient, especially when they feel safe and loved. She'd wake up every morning and run to Marcus' room just to make sure he was still there. Stanley visited most weekends, bringing groceries and takeout and a willingness to just be present. He taught Dorothy how to tie fishing knots, helped Marcus sort through the legal maze of reclaiming his company and his assets. The 15 years of silence between us started to feel like something we could move past. "I owe you everything," I told Stanley one evening as we sat on my porch watching Dorothy and Marcus fish off the dock. "You brought my son home. You brought my family back together. We brought him home," Stanley corrected, "and Howard, I owe you something too. 15 years ago, when I bought out your share of Dad's company, I knew I was screwing you. I knew you needed that money for Marcus College, but I was angry and bitter, and I convinced myself you deserved it. I've regretted it every day since." I nodded slowly. "We were both angry, both stubborn, but that's done now. What matters is we're family, and family takes care of family." One evening in late September, the four of us sat on my porch watching the sun set over the water. Dorothy was curled up against Marcus' side, half asleep after a long day of fishing and exploring the beach. Stanley nursed a beer while I worked on my second whiskey of the night. "I've been thinking about what comes next," Marcus said. "The doctors cleared me for normal activities, and the legal stuff with the company is almost sorted out, but I don't want to just go back to running a software business. I want to do something that matters." "Like what?" I asked. "I want to help people like me, people who've been wrongly committed or whose families have hidden them away, people who've fallen through the cracks. I want to use what happened to me to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else." Stanley leaned forward. "I've got contacts in the PI world, people who specialize in missing persons cases, wrongful commitments. If you're serious, I could make some introductions. I'm serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life." Dorothy stirred against his side. "Will you still have time for me, Daddy?" Marcus kissed the top of her head. "Sweetheart, I've got nothing but time for you. But yeah, he'll probably be working on this too. Is that okay?" "It's okay," she said sleepily, "as long as you come home, always." Marcus promised. "I'll always come home." I looked at my son, my granddaughter, my brother, my family broken and rebuilt, scarred but surviving. The rain had stopped, the storm had passed, and for the first time in 4 years, I could see the horizon clearly again. It wasn't the ending Eid imagined when this all started, back when I was sitting alone in that cabin convinced Eid lost everything that mattered. But it was an ending that felt earned, real, honest. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes the people closest to you can be the most dangerous enemies, but family blood runs deeper than betrayal. And when you fight for what's right, even broken relationships can heal. A father's love never dies. An experience earned through years of hard work still has power. Age and wisdom can triumph over youth and greed when justice is on your side.